Howdy, y'all. This is CardBlitz, episode one. My name is Kelly, and my co-host is Greg Smith. This show is
Hey
all
guys, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
hey. Again, this show is all, all about our about cards, the card universe, everything from old school to new school. Not a big investment kind of channel, but more about like the stories of the cards and ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely, Kelly. It's we've been talking about doing this for a while, and I've got some experience with a different show, and just it's I like talking about cards. I like talking about it as much as I'm excited to uh, do this as well as my other endeavors. So this is going to be fun, and we're going to talk about some things I think that we don't get into, um, you know, as maybe we should. So I'm going to let you go ahead and lead us into what you want to talk about this week, and kind of give me your story about how you got started collecting.
Okay.
Kind of as much info as you want to share, Kelly.
Sure. Hobby origin story goes back to probably for me second grade. Star Wars, the movie had come out. I was into Star Wars cards via my best friend at the time, a childhood friend. Uh, but through that, discovered baseball and football cards as well. And so I've completed the Star Wars set, like one through five on the series. I'm still working on some of the stickers to complete that set. I did complete though my 78 Tops baseball set as well as my 78 Tops football set. And so from there, stopped collecting around 82 and kind of got back into it again in the mid 90s when I was in college and after college. Went after it heavily from 95 to about 2001 and then took a break again, bought a house, married, kids. Um, but kind of got back into the hobby back in 2023, March with the World Baseball Classic. And one of my good friends was like, "Hey, man, you got to check out cards again." So that's how I got back into this. How
Outstanding.
about
So
yourself,
you're
man? Say again?
can you go ahead, Kelly? I'd say you're recently back in, so you missed the whole COVID boom and everything, huh?
Yes, sir. Discovered like lots of folks talking about how like there were highs and now there are lows or coming off of the bubble bursting, and so I didn't get to experience any of that. I'm catching the roller coaster on the way down.
Right, right. Yeah, that's it's interesting that you stopped in 82. Now if you want to, how old were you when you stopped the first time?
12 years old. So I was
Okay.
what I guess like fourth grade or fifth grade maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
fifth grade I think, right around there.
Okay.
And,
So
so
and
I
what
just started playing more sports, playing football. I'd always played soccer, but yeah, I guess that's where the discretionary dollars went to like albums and cassettes versus
sure.
looking at cards.
Okay. Yeah, that's funny that you say that, and we'll get into my story quickly here. I basically collected from when I was probably about six in 1970. So I was born in 1970. So I was full bore all through high school, and you know it wasn't quite as there wasn't as much to do back then. So we collected a lot and in high school and played sports and did all that. But pretty much any extra money that I got went to cards. Um, and it wasn't unusual for people my age, especially I guess maybe where I lived. We were in St. Petersburg, Florida, and a lot of spring training, a lot of stuff like that. So we we're pretty hard into cards. And then I had an unfortunate event in the summer of 1990. Long, yeah, we disconnected there. Long story, but had my entire collection stolen, probably 150,000 cards or so, and just it kind of killed it for me. It was a very traumatic event, and
Mm.
I kind of wiped cards from my brain until 2019. Had a cousin send me some cards, and then father-in-law got sick, and he passed away unfortunately in 2021. Uh, I've been going at it full bore since August of 2019. So I got in right before the COVID boom, and get some cards that I just frankly never thought I really would ever own, and it brings back a lot of nostalgia for me. I don't know how it does for you, but the older cards, I can remember having some of them when I was a kid, and just it's weird how the time continuum kind of narrows when you're looking at like a like an Eddie Murray card, for example. I can remember that card from being a little kid, or Ryan Sandberg or Wade Boggs or those guys, and just how instantly it takes you back. And it's been 40-45 years in some of those cases, but it doesn't seem that long. So that's been a little bit odd for me, is just how picture myself sitting in the room going through those cards when I was that age still when I see them. So it's been a return to youth for me a little bit.
Oh, it's
What's your experience with that?
I would say the nostalgia of looking at the older cards is, it pulls on my heartstrings a lot. I'm a completionist, so with hobby goals and whatnot, that's I like to complete my sets. Or a player run. To me, those are big goals that I like to work on. Um, but again, it's just the knowledge and the experience of being into sports and looking back and how life was back as a kid, and even now, like to commemorate and celebrate, those victories and those stories on the field or on the court or on the ice rink. It's interesting, and it's a smaller part of the big picture. What happens there. Life is much more important, but it's a hobby. It's a balance for me, and so I like to look through those cards and enjoy the cards for what they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with you, and kind of slow your brain down a little bit, and think about the cards. And so you've got some recent acquisitions you wanted to show off, and then maybe we can get into some hobby goals for 2025. So what do you have
Sure.
that you really kind of are digging?
Um, I'm working on my 2000 Bowman Chrome set. So I've got this card here, this Barry Zito that I acquired. Now I'm down to just missing two cards. And so hopefully
Oh
I can get
wow.
that completed, in the next couple of months. Kind of picking and poking.
Okay.
Um, Another big card though that I did get recently was this Chipper Jones 2002 Topps Heritage card, and so this is a difficult set to put together. If you hadn't put that together when it first came out, the prices of singles have gone up. As the collectability of the set continues to grow in the hobby. Heritage is a huge name, and so lots of folks try to work on those older sets.
Sure. Yeah. Heritage. I think that started in 2001, didn't it?
Yes,
2000,
sir.
2001. Yeah. See, that's like the dark ages for me with collecting, but I've looked back on some of those sets, and they are very cool. And Heritage has always been cool to me because, each year everybody knows they this year it's 75. So if it
Mhm.
started in 52, wow, that's 23, 24 years of Heritage now. And yeah, that's the Heritage sets are very cool. I buy a few blasters every year when they come out, and I love those. So good on you for trying to complete some of the older ones. From what I hear as well, they're pretty tough.
Yeah, I
Um,
was gonna say I got my 2001 Topps Heritage baseball set complete. Just working on one of the insert sets, the New Age performers. Other than that, like I said, working on this '02 set. That was the last set that I worked on before purchasing my first house and getting back out of the hobby and going through life.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a wormhole I may go down at some point. My newest wormhole, and I've been kind of doing this for a few months now. Old basketball cards.
Hmm.
I loved basketball. I don't really watch it much anymore. I don't, I, with the amount of time that I have to kind of pick and choose what sports I watch nowadays. And I'm a big Dolphins fan, so I watch my Dolphins every weekend. And baseball, I mean, it's just, there's too many games. Basketball, it's just, there's too many games, and it's really not the same sport it used to be. But, I've been picking up some of these older basketball cards. Like I got this um, you know, Trailblazers coach. He wasn't a super great player, but that's his rookie card. And I
Is
got
that the 6970?
Yeah, yeah. So these are very cool. I think, and I didn't really, they weren't really on my radar as a kid, but I know the names. So I mean, you know, like Wes Unseld. That's a Wes Unseld rookie card. I actually got two of those.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, just old basketball players like that, the tall boy cards. A lot of people have mixed feelings about the tall boy cards, but they're if you look at the print runs, or there's some data on some inexact data on print runs with baseball and hockey, and to a lesser extent football when compared to baseball in the 70s and in the 60s, that they just didn't print a lot of these. So
Hmm.
comparatively to the baseball, so I got like that right there. It's
Dude,
a
that
Lou
is awesome.
Alcindor.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What Elvin Hayes, Wes Unseld, and Lou Alcindor. So Kareem basically. But
Yeah.
I got that for $5, which is it's like a
And it
second
looks
year
sharp,
Kareem
man.
leaders
And
card.
the colors look
Yeah,
good.
it's very nice.
It just kind of that
Yeah,
takes you back to like that 60s culture, with the layout,
right.
design. Very neat.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it's just stuff like that. I've got I've gotten kind of baseball out, to be honest. Even in the last 5 years, I've got a bunch of sets put together and stuff like that. I just am looking for new wormholes to go down. Like I said a minute ago, just with the heritage sets or with old basketball or vintage hockey stuff like that. So just picking up random stuff. I got those unsold rookies, I think, for $10 a piece. Seemed like a pretty good deal, so I
Hmm.
jumped on them. So you know, I'm always looking for stuff a little bit off the wall. Kellogg's cards, Hostess cards, um, and nice baseball. But again, I'm kind of been leaning more towards hockey. Big hockey fan. I'm from Florida, so I mean it's not my deal. But like the cards, the cards look cool. So and that's gonna kind of asking you some things, like what you have some goals for collecting in the hobby this year,
I
or
was going to mention one more selfish acquisition kind of oddball item if you got a
sure,
second. The missus got me this really cool stadium giveaway uh, Texas Rangers World Series commemorative card that was given at the
nice,
stadium. And I don't know the print run. So if anyone out there knows that, please let us know in the comments or reach out to us. It's a cool looking card, and it just kind of, lifelong Rangers fan growing up. And so to see them get so close in 2010, 2011, 2010, we were just happy to be there. But 2011, man, twice, like one strike away.
yeah,
And then it was just unlikely and it just you know, Rangers pulled off a World Series. So it happened in my
they
lifetime.
did.
I'm happy to celebrate that. And that card kind of takes me back to, I guess, the trials and tribulations of being a Rangers fan.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. It's they've been 12 years, and for them to finally have gotten one, I'm a Red Sox fan. I mean, it hasn't been the same for me since we've won a few
Right.
like it used to be. So for the Rangers to get one, I'm sure as a Rangers fan, that was a big moment for you. So congratulations, and that's a very cool card, by the way. So, um, what are your goals this year? What are you focusing on? What's your goals? I'll get to mine when you after yours, and I've got one goal basically.
Well, I mean, obviously, like I said, I'm working on that '02 Topps Heritage baseball set. I've got some other sets from the '90s that I'm working on. So, um, and as I get those cards, I'll be happy to show those off and let you know as I get closer. Um, So, like I said, I'm about 35 cards away on the '02 Topps Heritage. I'm two cards away on the Bowman Chrome 2000 set for baseball. One of my other goals, though, is completing a player run of Roger Staubach, aka Captain
Okay,
America. Huge hero of mine as a kid growing up. I'd like to get all from 72 to 79, all of his cards like an SGC 7 or better.
okay,
The
yeah,
pricey one will be that rookie card in 72 as a 7. I
yeah.
mean, that's going to be a motherload kind of purchase.
Oh, absolutely. I just actually auctioned one raw, and it was 160 raw. So
Holy.
yeah, if you're gonna if you're gonna get a 7, I mean that's a good goal to have.
Yeah.
What have you comped it low for?
Um,
Any idea?
I feel like they're probably a seven is probably going to run closer to 500, $600 at least.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That's
again,
that's
if that's my goal, and it's going to take a lot of saving, but I think I can get it. It just hopefully happens this year, but if not, I'll carry it to next year.
right, right. Well, yeah, you're lucky that that 72 is not in the high number series. You'd be talking 2 or 3 grand.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, definitely, definitely.
yeah. So
Lifetime
my
kind of
main
purchase.
do what now?
I say a lifetime kind of purchase, right?
Right, right. Well, yeah,
How
I
about you,
imagine
man?
you
What
be
what what are, what are some of your
well.
goals?
Well, I'm going to comment on yours first. I think I remember Roger Staubach when I was a kid, and he was amazing. I mean, he really was. He was a good leader. Unfortunately, they came times in the '70s, but um, still won the one against Denver in 78, 77 season. Won the game against Miami. I'm not old enough to remember that, but they pretty much stomped us that game. Um, so he won a couple titles. He was I thought the best was regarded as the best quarterback in the league, and I've always thought Roger Staubach was very underrated when you look back, compare eras and things like
Right.
that's he was very good, and a lot of people don't really remember that. When they're talking about Bradshaw got 4 rings or whatever. So whatever. Staubach was always better to me. And so for what it's worth, but good luck to you with your SGC run. That's very cool. Um, my goals this year are to get more consolidated.
Hmm.
My collection right now is very, very jumbled, very uh, chaotic, I guess is the best word. So my goal between now and the end of 2025 is to consolidate what I have, really kind of try to figure out what I want to PC. Right now, the only thing I really PC, I'm kind of a completionist too, to an extent with sets. Um, I've got a 61 baseball, I've got a couple of 71 baseballs and 72 baseballs. I'm about 70% done with a 64 baseball set. So maybe try to complete some of those, and also to work on my SGC. Um, my card buddies call me the Yasmanian Devil. I've got 105 Carly Strimsky slabs in SGC
Do,
holders, and
do you see
yeah.
that? Do you see that like a number that you want to end at, or is that something that you'll just keep adding as the years go by?
Oh, I've actually thought about that, and I've been asked that a couple times. According to Trading Card Database, there's 8,650 different Carly Strimskys, and I've got 105 of them. So realistically, I'll
It's like a dent in the whole thing, right?
I, until I get sick of it, I guess. I mean, you find them so cheap sometimes that when I think I'm done, I'm just, my goal was to hit 100 by the end of the year, and I did. So I'm already at the 10th of January. So, I'm finding them for $5-6 sometimes. Those are hard to pass up. So to answer your question, I'd say probably at some point I'll stop. Uh, but I recently did something like I had a 5.5 SGC rookie card,
Hmm.
and I saw a good deal on a 2. So I downgraded. So and the 2 looks good. It's just got a little bit of writing on the back. So it's not like a necessarily question of needing the biggest or the best. Just I used the money that I sold the 5.5 for to buy a Yaz Auto. So it's kind of like an amoeba, and I'm kind of moving it around. So to answer your question, when I get sick of it, I guess best way to put it. But my main goal again is to get myself organized and figure out if there's something else that I want. Right now, I've got probably 200,000 cards too many, and I need to get that lowered some. So you know, uh,
Well,
that's
it's gonna be
really
a
my only
process,
goal.
right?
Oh yeah,
But hopefully we can kind of go through that process with you and share it with the viewers of the show. It'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take some before I'll take some there with everybody of my card mess, and then my in progress pictures, and then my complete pictures. So I've also been put on notice by my wife that I need to go ahead and get this process going. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have any goals. You know, it's fun. It's evolved for me into I'm selling a lot on Facebook, and that takes up a lot of my time. So you know, getting a collection organized when you're selling as much as I am is a challenge because it's a time thing, and there's only so many hours in a day that I can do this. So we'll see how it goes.
Let me do this to you, Greg. I talked about it being a hobby. You say it's a hobby. Let's talk about like folks that look at this as an investment. Because you're investing your time, you're investing resources. Do you think that, you know, is there a blurred line or is there a fine line you think on the collecting, investment, selling, flipping? What do you think?
I think with vintage, it's a little different. The 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 term flipping in vintage is a little refined. I think I use the majority of what I flip for, or I'll buy something on eBay and sell it in a group and make a little bit of money, and I'll buy something else. So it's not there's I don't necessarily look at it as like investment, as more investment in more cards. But at some point, that's kind of going back to my disorganization. At some point, I'm going to have everything that I want, unless I just start getting crazy and trying to buy like 52 manels or whatever. But you know, I look at it. I'm selling to invest in cards, and I'll be honest with you. I think vintage is a much better investment than modern. So
So you're going off of the concept of a self-sustained hobby then, because you already have the
correct.
inventory, you're selling your excess that you don't want to acquire what you do want without coming really out of pocket.
Right, right, and that's footballed a little bit though to where it's more now, for lack of a better way to put it, it's more. I could sell. I could not buy another card right now and sell what I have for probably a year and a half, and that's where it's gotten a little bit out of hand. Where I even if I didn't buy anything else, I've got enough to sell. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it has become more of a quote unquote business than I had planned on it being. And I don't know how I feel about that. I'm
Right.
gonna try to wrangle that, this year. So and try to figure out exactly what I want to do because, I've got people offering me consignment, things like that, just nonstop. And how much do I want to really make it a business? So and you know, it's a tough thing because the money's not hard to make if you do it right. And you struggle with it. Do I want to be a mercenary? Do I want to, you know, I don't know. I'm being as honest and real as I can be here. It's just
Well, let's say I
it's a
don't know
tough
many
call.
other hobbies where you have something that you spent money on and then you can go and resell it. Like
Right.
so that makes it kind of unique to I guess sports cards, coins. I don't know if anyone does stamps anymore. Star Wars figures, I think people still
Yeah.
collect those. But yeah, if you're into like I don't know, jogging or cycling or camping, you're not like reselling your items to finance your other pursuits, I don't think.
Right. Right. And it is a commodity. Uh, you you look at it that way. I mean, it's similar to there's a bit there's a big resale market for it. There's all in a markup on it. It's just how much do you want to do that over collecting? And right now I'm struggling with that a little bit. I think. Do I want to just dive right in and devote all my time to buying and selling or collecting or So it's evolved to that point where I'm a little bit muddled in my head what I'm actually doing in my objectives. So that's a goal for me, I guess, in 2025 is maybe refine more what my end game is or my goal is
Right.
selling. So it's just gotten my whole thing is I've just gotten out of hand with what I've got, and I need to consolidate. Certainly, I'm just looking around just at my counter, and there's just cards everywhere, and it's a little overwhelming sometimes.
Right. Right.
So it's a weird dynamic, but I'm working on it, and I've had some conversations with myself and with my wife and things about what I really want to devote my time to.
Okay.
But so we were also going to talk about um, the Hall of Fame inductees this year. Do you want to get into that? And I'll
Yeah.
give
I
you my
mean,
thoughts.
that's obviously Dave Parker, Dick Allen getting in. I don't really know much about Dick Allen. Dave Parker, we're basically in the same age group, same age. I do remember
Yeah.
like 1979 Pirates. I remember looking at those cards from my 79, 80, 81 sets and just going, man, those uniforms were ugly. They had great hairdos, but just the whole like tall cap with the yellow stripes that went around. I was just like, oh my
Oh yeah.
gosh. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I mean, floor is yours if you want to talk about those guys and their place in the hobby.
Well, I mean, I obviously Dick Allen, Richie Allen. I they changed it from Richie to Dick for some reason. I mean, that's a nickname for it, but when he first came up, he was Richie Allen. I wasn't born yet when he came up, but I remember him cards. I remember thinking when I was a kid was his 1975, where he's got. It's just I should have broken it out, but I didn't. 75 All Star card. People that collect know it. It's White Sox and it's got red and blue and he's got that old school White Sox uniform on. He's got the the big hair, big afro, and he's got glasses on and he's got a
Stylish
batting
for the
helmet.
70s.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's got a batting helmet on and he's fielding his position. So I guess he always wore a batting helmet, which only other person I know to do that was John Olerud. But that card was cool, and I was like, man, this guy's a cool cat. He's got it going on.
Mm.
Um, they're saying he should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago, and unfortunately, he didn't make it before he passed in 2020. But his relationship with the media was pretty sour. What kept him out? Um, is he deserving? Absolutely, I think so. He was comparable stat wise. If you really do a deep dive, he was just right below Clemente and Aaron and Mays and those guys in the 60s. So, and then he won an MVP in 72. He just didn't get along with the media, and that has been a factor for some people. I mean, Jim Rice, it took him longer than it probably should have. He wasn't a good media guy. Ted Williams was just so good, it didn't matter that he didn't get along with the media. But Kurt Schilling is a great example. So political. Shot him. He basically torpedoed his own chances he just couldn't keep his mouth shut. So how you're portrayed in the media definitely what you ultimately or when you ultimately get into the Hall of Fame for
Well,
some of
since
these
the
guys.
media has a part of a say in the vote, that might
Yeah,
affect that too, right?
absolutely. The BBWAA, the Baseball Writers of America's Association, are the ones who traditionally voted these guys in. So, I mean, Richie Allen should have probably been in 15 years ago, honestly. But it is what it is, and he finally got it. And we'll get into maybe this real, briefly after I get done talking about Parker. Just what impact it has on their card values, and I think it goes without saying that they go up. Do
Right.
they stay up? Things like that. So we'll talk about that maybe today, and maybe in a different show. As far as Parker goes, I think you could. He was a superstar in the 70s, really in
Hmm.
baseball, and if you watched baseball, really if you watched sports at that time, it was a whole different experience. if you're a kid, you just knew who the good players were. You
Right.
know, it's
But we don't have perspective. We don't know the big picture. We just know, hey, they won a World Series. Hey, this guy hits.
right,
Hey, this guy, is in Pittsburgh. That's all I really remember as a kid back then about Dave
right.
Parker.
Argel and that whole "We Are Family" thing in the '70s.
Hmm.
Um, he led the league in hitting a couple times. So I mean, Dave Parker, um, he deserves it. I think he deserves to be in. The Cobra was good. I think the his I don't know if he ever was actually associated or convicted or you know insinuated that he had to do something to do with the cocaine thing in the '80s with Pittsburgh. I'm sure that didn't help him. Even just being on that team probably was a stigma you couldn't shake off for years. So you know, there's a few guys I think that fit in the Parker mold. Steve Garvey's one of them. He should probably be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the Penguin. We'll see.
Garvey,
We'll see if he can get in there one of these days.
right? He was the perennial All Star. He always had the All Star logo on his car, the All Star first baseman, and looking back, if you think, I remember thinking he was going to be in the Hall of Fame. You know, Steve Garvey. I mean, he was
Yeah,
a he
first
was a
ballot kind of guy, but
right.
hasn't
He was
happened.
a baseball superstar. He really
Mhm.
was. And he just has never gotten traction for some reason. And I think a lot of the writers really rely on Ward too much at this point, and not just it is the Hall of Fame. Dale Murphy was famous. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He was the face of baseball in the early '80s with TBS. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame? If Dave Parker's going to be in the Hall of Fame, he need to put Dale Murphy
Well,
in my
maybe
opinion.
if you're looking at the stats of it, though, that probably has a major impact because if you're not, growing up with the Braves in that era, you wouldn't be aware of his impact on that team or in the league even.
Right.
All you
But
have
I
are the
mean,
stats.
yeah, that's true. That is all you have is statistics. You then talk to some older people. You know, I mean, if you're a writer and you don't have the context of living through that era, I mean, there was no bigger star in baseball for 5 years than Dale Murphy.
Hmm.
Really, I mean, if and it was because he was on every day. I don't know if you remember that, but I watched a lot of Braves games.
Between TBS and WGN, there was some
Right,
daytime baseball and some nighttime baseball. But yeah, yeah, I remember that in the mid '80s, late
that was
'80s.
it. It was Braves and Cubs and nothing else. Unless your team happened to be on the game of the week on Saturday. So, there be some context given to impact on the game. Roger Maris is another good example. If you're talking Hall of Fame, he's one of the most famous baseball players ever.
Right?
So, you
He hit
know,
61 home runs in '61. That's gonna help
yeah,
you with the cause, right? And the New York
absolutely.
hype machine.
Yeah, yeah. So, I and I think you're going to see a lot of these guys get in the next 10, 15 years. Some people that you may not have thought were going to get in will, and some that you think won't be in. um, there's a lot of guys, so
Dude, I
we'll
was
see
gonna
how
say
it goes.
there, Greg, with future episodes, we'll definitely dig a little deeper and dive into this and share thoughts and cards. And I'm excited
Sure,
for that, man. I think we'll save some of that for later.
sure, absolutely. This has been fun, Kelly. This has been
Definitely,
fun.
man. Looking forward to our next one.
Just everybody, if you give us a like, subscribe, give us some comments, tell us what you think about the show, and we appreciate it, everybody.
Definitely. We'll see y'all next time.